Hello, everyone. I'm here with Mark Nagurski, who's one of the co-founders of Makematic, a company which creates and licenses educational videos. So, Mark, thanks a lot for speaking with me today.
Indeed.
We are here to talk about T.O.M, the Teaching Online Masterclass. So, Mark, maybe you could introduce T.O.M to us. Like, what is it exactly?
Sure. So T.O.M is a series, well, first of all, it's a professional development resource. So it was built explicitly for classroom teachers. It's a series of about, I think it's 85 short films, all kind of 2 to 3 minutes in length, all presented by experienced classroom educators. And really intended to give people a good understanding of what it takes to teach online, not just the technology, but the pedagogical approach. What are the strategies that you might use to teach online or to improve how you're teaching online? What are the kind of the concepts that you're going to bring into that practice, as opposed to which tools you're going to use?
Perfect. Okay. And why did you decide to create this project? This comes from the start of the pandemic, right?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that kind of answers your question. There was a lot of people at that time who, literally overnight, there were millions of teachers around the world that had to go from, classroom-based instruction to, at the very least, some sort of, hybrid, right? And the one thing that we noticed very early on is that a lot of the conversation was centered around what tools to use, right? And rightfully so. I mean, there's a million great tools out there that you can use for some sort of blended learning or fully online instruction. And what we thought was missing from the conversation, particularly for teachers who hadn't done it before, was slightly more about the pedagogical approach. How do you take what you've learned and practiced and brought into the classroom, over your entire career into this little rectangle? Right. And that's a challenge. And if you don't know where to start, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. So really what we wanted to do was just kind of lay some groundwork for that, right? Not to discount the technology, not to kind of put aside all the phenomenal solutions that are out there, but really just to say, as you're approaching this, these are the kind of things you can be thinking of. And this is the kind of way that, what you do in the classroom might translate, into remote learning. And also, just some of the basic kind of tips and tricks that other teachers have kind of built up over the years that they could easily share and you can implement right away.
Okay, I can really relate with that, the motivation for starting as well. I mean, Get More Students is a community for, helping teachers to get more students. And we set that up exactly for the same reason. At LearnCube, we saw that all of the conversation was about how do I teach online, like physically, what buttons do I press?
Yeah.
But not how do I get students, how do I grow my education business? So really nice. So you said that it's designed for or aimed at kind of classroom educators. Mm-hmm. Is that been the focus of the videos? Is it about kind of larger groups, or could a one-on-one teacher take something from this as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think, it's the intent, obviously the market that we were serving, if you want to put it that way, were this massive cohort of classroom educators who suddenly found themselves online, right? But I think anybody who teaches, using technology is going to find something in the series that's useful for them, right? And I think that's one of the reasons we decided to kind of not turn it into kind of a course, right? That was the last thing, spend 4 hours learning how to do this. We decided to kind of atomize it and make it little takeaway chunks so that, somebody who is more experienced or has a different scenario, maybe they are, a long time doing this, maybe they are a one-on-one tutor, whatever their scenario, they can kind of browse through all 80 odd titles and say, well, I know that, and that, but this is really interesting, or I'd like to brush up on that, or I'd like to hear how other teachers are tackling that idea. Right. So it is atomized in that way. You don't have to start and finish, right? If there's one video in the 85 that makes sense to you and helps you, then fantastic. It's kind of done its job. For other people, it will be literally, I want to sit down and learn as much as I can. But either way, it's a useful resource. And again, if I haven't said before, it's entirely free. And we're very keen for people to make use of it in whatever way suits them.
Cool. So, I mean, it's great. So you've got a very comprehensive but pick and mix solution. That's great. And so, well, then where can people access it? So where can I find these videos?
Sure. So first, I'll probably have to do the shout out to the people who paid for it. So what we did initially is we collaborated with a lot of the people that we've worked with previously in developing content. So if you are an educator that uses ClickView, iCivics, if you use the Adobe Education Exchange, you'll find all of the T.O.M resources in all of those because they help to fund it, right? But you can also find it just at tom.makematic.com, and it's all free and all easily available.
Cool. All right, so it's www.tom.makematic.com. I'll put it in the description and everything as well.
Perfect.
Great. And well, a couple of final things. Are there any additional resources there, or is it only videos? Have you got articles?
So it's mostly video, but in doing it, we spend an awful lot of time kind of working through what should be in there. So in trying to kind of create a curriculum, in a sense, what we did is we went out and spoke to a huge amount of teachers first, right? So, what are the things, if you're experienced in doing this, what are the things you wish you knew, right? What are the kind of tips that you can give somebody just starting? And if you are just starting, what are the things that concern you and challenge you, right? So all of that is kind of, that was the body of research that we did before we ended up breaking it up into sections and deciding what titles there were. And because we'd done all that work, we thought it made sense to kind of bring it together. So there is a lovely T.O.M white paper. So if you are an educational leader, perhaps, that might be a useful resource. We've also broken down some of the kind of big ideas into little one-page infographics. So if you are the kind of person who likes to watch some video, browse some video, but likes to have like I don't want to say a paper document, but something to kind of refer to, right? And then that's available too. So they're all, again, also on the website and all free to download.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. So listen, if for you watching, if you would like to grow your education business, you can head over to www.getmorestudents.org and sign up for free to access plenty of advice and resources on getting more students. Again, it's tom.makematic.com. You can find all of the educational resources we've just discussed. I have watched and learned from some of those videos as well. So personally, thank you to Makematic and to the sponsors you mentioned, just for me. And Mark, if I want to learn more about Makematic, where can I go?
Sure. So just makematic.com, you'll see a bunch of the work that we do. I mean, for anybody who hasn't come across this before, we produce a lot of content that ends up on all the LMS platforms you use, the library services you use. So you'll undoubtedly have come across our little logo in the corner of a video. But there's also a ton of examples, resources, and links out to where this content lives just on makematic.com. So please have a look. And if anybody has any questions or wants to reach out, they can reach me directly just at Mark with a K at makematic.com as well.
Perfect. Okay, listen, thank you very much for speaking with us.
No problem at all.